Radio 4, our afternoon play by Adam Thorpe. This is a companion piece to yesterday's play, Something Memorable, which is about the novelist Thomas Hardy and his first wife, Emma. Now it's the turn of his second wife, Florence. The action takes place in the drawing room of Max Gate, Hardy's house near Dorchester, on a hot summer's afternoon in July 1921. Patrick Malahide plays Hardy and Sylvestra Touzel Florence in Naught Happens Twice Thus.
Real are the dreams of gods, and smoothly pass their pleasures in a long, immortal dream. Dearest Keats, quite beyond praise, to think we knew the same streets.
I need a lamp.
It's the afternoon.
My eyes are very weak today.
If I draw the curtains wider, we'll be quite cooked.
Nothing wrong with a lamp.
You know, it catches in my throat. The smoke. If we had electrical light...
Never.
Give the script to me.
Oh, you can't do the voices.
You don't have voices in a film.
That's Henchard shouting, and that's Farfree shouting back.
Written up on the screen. You don't hear it.
Well, I hear it. Anyway, I'm correcting the dialect. What would a curtain if lamps make you sick?
Never understood my throat. The sun pouring in. Smell it on the parking.
Wider. They can't get hotter.
A lorry on the lawn.
The electricals.
We should be so lucky. There are shady nooks in the garden. We could go into the garden. If they'd left us any garden to go into, I could read to you from the Keats.
We'll drop off. The sun will steer around and scorch us like last
You
time.
learn from your mistakes.
Not always, my dear.
What you doing?
Oh, you quite missed something this morning.
What did he say, by the way?
Who?
George Macmillan telephoned. You had to ring back. I left you a note.
Oh, I've nothing to do with the telephone.
It was quite pressing. That anthology.
Oh, 5% in the verse must go in. Do what he wants with the prose.
I'll ring him.
A letter at once. Fellow's no right to pester us on a Saturday. You have to come along with us, you know, Florrie. 2:30, Maiden Castle by
I've a
3.
letter to type.
White marquee in the fields, very grand, like a wedding. All their machinery, sheets of metal for the light. The sheets strike back the light.
With the sun blazing away.
Everyone bustles about so, and one feels right at the centre of things.
Well, 'tis your book.
Cooling off now. Lime cordial and ice from out of a green van. Victuals for the army.
Yes, I did notice the trench by the petunia bed.
Well, they want you to come, Florrie. 2:30, and smooth open car.
With the roads, pure dust, right down my throat. And very exposed, Maiden Castle, in this heat.
We're invited. You have to come. You can wear your sun hat. Where's this week's illustrated? It was here.
Under the script. You haven't even had your nap.
It's bringing everyone out, you know. Look. Oh, here it is. See? Folks splashing in the Serpentine. The cafe tables, look. Edging out onto the pavement. Oh, very daring for London.
We can go, T.H.
Good. Carlington 2:30.
London? Why not? A weekend. Just us two. Like old times.
One always gets knocked about so in London.
Only 6 hours, motoring.
People seem so very clever when first one goes to London, then one finds they're all repeating the same idea.
Love to go to Heels. I saw some wonderful things with Louisa Yearsley. Our furniture looks so very ugly and Victorian. After all those wonderful modern things at Heels.
Well, go on your own then.
Something will happen to you here.
Probably.
In this heat, you being so frail. What should I have done if you'd been away, my dear? Always saying it.
Oh, look. Oh, goodness gracious. She might as well be wearing nothing at all.
Quite lost you are without me. Ooh. I do like the feel of this old rag paper. sets off the supreme beauty of the poems very suitably. For Keats was very hot too, in Rome, when he was dying.
Well, he had a fever. Don't press down the pages. It's a first edition, not a handkerchief. And thank all of them individually.
Who?
The donors. It's very costly, you know. First edition of Lamia.
Each one, right to each one, individually. Over 100 of them.
Alphabetical order. When you get to Mr. and Mrs. Wolfe, you let out a great huzzah. Turn the page from the top corner, never from the bottom.
We had first editions in Enfield, you know.
Oh, the school logbook, the Board of Education's elementary code.
We had your books for a start off. First edition.
Well, I gave them. I gave all those.
Oh, we read Thomas Hardy long before you came along. Quite literary enough we were, especially Father.
Your father? Edward Dugdale? Literary? Well, after a fashion. Bend over, boy. I am not the father-in-law of Thomas Hardy for nothing. Whack, whack, whack. I'm not the father-in-law of Thomas Hardy for nothing, boy.
Must be the leading lady again.
What is?
At least something's tempted you out of your study.
They do rain out of a hose, wind out of a machine. You shake the leaves of open ropes for storm. Oh, they've painted a wagon like a teapot. No wagon was ever painted like a teapot. Oh, there goes Mrs. Henchard. She can't hear me. Nice woman. We want to buy a large cake. Mrs. Henchard! Tell Cook to bake a very large cake, Florrie, but we'll have a grand tea on the middle lawn. Oh, there goes Mr. Henchard. And the furry woman. Oh, and here's Farfrey. Is it borrowing your asparagus bed? Oh, they can't see me.
Open it and we'll suffocate. Complete invasion. Horrid noises, lorries on the lawn, trenches, and that great canvas sheet thing.
Distant view of Casterbridge.
I don't care what it is. Unrolling it all over the place, crushing the petunias. No care. Worse than the war.
Oh, fancy. Fancy you not wanting to see it, Florence.
I have had 6 teeth out.
2 months ago.
6 teeth, if you don't mind.
Oh, they can't see me. Most odd. Most peculiar this morning. The experience of it. Preparing the film. The whole experience. Almost unpleasant it was.
Oh, I don't see why. Always wandering about here, actors, dressed up as your rustics.
Well, these are film actors. I had to say you were laid low. Sunstroke, wasn't it, this time?
Well, I'm always fibbing for you, shooing people away. Mr. Hardy is indisposed, Mr. Hardy is out.
Well, I am out after a manner.
And they can never ever believe it, especially the Americans. Thomas Hardy, indisposed, far too humdrum. They just take chips out of the front gate instead. Bits of the true cross.
Shy.
Sorry?
You're shy. That's why you don't want to go out with the film people.
Shy? I am never shy. Why'd you say that?
The telephone.
What about the telephone?
Why you started this telephone?
What?
So you can talk to people without seeing them. London society, those bright, clever faces. And then one finds they're all repeating
The
same
last
idea.
thing I am is shy.
Nothing to do with this telephone at any rate.
That's shyness.
Do I dislike shyness?
Oh, you'd like me to be shy.
Ah, then it wouldn't matter,
Yes, it would.
would it?
I am not shy. I don't care a hang if those vulgar actor types hear me. I may be other things, lacking in certain things, looks and breeding and genius and zest, but I am never ever that, never, not shy.
She was not at all shy at the start. Wild even. See it in her eyes. Look. Wildness. The camera covers it. even through the shyness. That's not hung straight. It always seems to hang crooked.
Moves during the night, probably, on its own, with the sheer power of her goodness and grace. Well, don't look at me. I never touch her, any of her portraits, except when they need a dust. Great trial to be without one efficient servant. The dust filters down from the attics, of course. What are you doing?
Oh, let's come off its darn hook.
Let me take it. Goodness gracious, it's heavy. Let it go. Let me put it down, Tom. It's all right. You can lean there for the moment. Oh dear, look, the hook, it's fallen out. Awful hole in the plaster. You must have pulled on it very hard. Oh, look at that filthy cobwebs, quite concealed behind. Dirt concealed is still dirt. All this dust on my fingers off the frame. You see it? Filters down from her, from the attics. That's where the dust comes from. Oh dear. The strain's almost enough to drive one into an asylum.
Oh, you like the cinema?
The cinema? Oh, yes. A new and pleasant experience that day with Louisa. Ought not to have rushed off before the end, though. That was rude of me.
Well then.
And our baby was such a duck.
Well then, you like the cinema?
Actors smile all the time. You can't see beyond their smiles.
Oh, it's nice to smile, Florrie. Pleasant. Cheers folk up.
I never see you to smile at. You don't come downstairs at all. Stuck in your study with those poems. Do you smile?
Birds are thirsty. I wonder if they stay alive at home.
The bird bath dries up very quickly.
We might fill that big old pot by the
A
pound.
classical urn.
Ogre's bedpan.
Copied from the Greek in stone.
The fat ogre's bedpan, do you remember?
I never called it that.
Ah. Might not be watertight. Must be something in the conservatory.
I expect nothing, of course. Certainly not since you handed over the responsibility. Yes, I'm talking to you, my dear Emma. I fancy you're listening to us and rejoicing. Maybe you tried to brain him just now. Maybe you want to... Tom?
You plug the pole, use this hose to fill the pot. And top her up each morning.
Do be careful with the hose. You'll break the geranium. Not in here. Hoses catch on everything.
Yeah, but they're thirsty. The birds, they must be. Look at the grass. It's quite scorched. It's yellow as straw.
What did I say? Well, an old Victorian vase of hers I never liked. Just a few hundred more to go. I did have very grand expectations, very grand. Maybe to cheer myself up, expecting things to improve.
We do have servants.
Things don't improve, generally.
Which vase was it?
Oh, what are they doing now?
They're rehearsing.
Does Farfrey do cartwheels in the Mayor of Casterbridge?
Enjoying themselves, limbering up.
I forget you were here, clearly. Others have such zest. I feel 80 sometimes, not 40. I feel 80 sometimes, I should say, rather.
81.
Well, others keep up, even if I don't, in their thousands. And who has to reply? Oh, you must have heard the typewriter. Nothing wrong with your ears.
Reply at once, my dear. Never put things off. More than a month now since my birthday.
Yes, we knew the same streets. Dear Keats and myself in Enfield. I'm reading Chekhov. Best thing I've come across lately. It seems very real.
Might be mice in the pot. Shrews.
We thank you, sir, for all that you have written. How very nice to be told that. even on your birthday.
Wouldn't want to drown a shrew.
To have one's birthday remembered at all. There's nothing like having a child. Had we a child, everything would be so different. Oh, poor little Wessex. Poor little Precious. Does he have to be shut up?
Well, it's too excited. Bite, go mad, like he went with the Macefields. God, adventure, no far free limping. Oh, might be took to court. The Process Film Company
Progress.
versus Thomas Hardy. What?
Progress.
No such thing.
The Progress Film Company. You said process.
Oh, Miss Mavis Clare. What? Eh? Plays Elizabeth Jane.
Is she famous?
Oh, I expect so.
Rather supple young creature. Looks quite refined too.
Very thick hair.
Her face. It's all yellow. Is she very ill? It's not infectious.
All of them are yellows. Paint stops the glare of pale skin. And the lips done very dark.
I must phone Macmillan.
Drop him a note, I'll post it. Still have 20 minutes.
I have the whole afternoon.
You're coming, Florence. They start shooting at Maiden Castle at 3.
Who's shooting?
One shoots them. Scenes in the cinema. And Mr. Morgan asked after you this morning. Director. Gallant sort of fellow with a brass loudhailer. You complain you're lonely.
I am alone most of the
And then when
day.
people come,
People?
filmmakers are people, and Lord Coleridge, Middleton Murray, Walter de la Mare, Mr. and Mrs. Macefield.
What about them?
People, aren't they? And the charming Nicholsons yesterday.
That was just to sketch you. Have you nap while I'm typing? You'd think they'd have forgotten by now. Not the newspapers, of course. The public.
Forgotten what?
Your birthday. But it seems to grow.
Oh, they think each one is the last. I disappoint them.
At least it is remembered.
I never remembered Emma's either.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
You complain how quiet it is, and then...
Well, isn't it dreadfully quiet? Apart from that mob outside. Not even birds. No one to talk to. Just Wessex. For literally thousands of
Oh,
evenings.
goodness gracious, that's the heat. Birds never sing in the heat. It's the hottest since 1881. It's 50 years.
40.
40?
Well, 1921, not
Oh, I
1931.
don't matter, so the same. New dark ages.
So still and silent. One feels it more. The strain of keeping on day after day, year in, year out. Others must feel it. Perhaps it's not having any religion.
Laughter on the front lawn. Lime cordial and ice. It's wonderful fine July weather, Florrie. And they tell a good joke to actors. I'm enjoying it. You'll enjoy it. Open car, smooth open car.
It's too far. It feels too far. I haven't been out. Not enough. Not for longer than a week away from here. And that was in a nursing home. Not for years and years. I meant to bring it up with you. There's never time. You shut away in your study, me typing, the housekeeping, shooing off awful people, coping with those devils of servants. And I'm not making this up, you know. You lose faith in yourself. Courage. Far away, for a month or two, Switzerland. That'd do me. That's one remedy. Better than the other. Better by a long chalk than the other.
Well, what other?
I did mean to bring it up. Getting away. Well, I will soon.
You've been out and about very recently.
Where?
Devises.
Devises?
About a journey across Salisbury Plain, you told me, was very exhilarating in the open car. Your very word, Florrie, exhilarating.
Maybe I should keep bees. Or poultry.
Bees stinging, I cannot bear the sight of hens, and you will be talking about them incessantly.
Summer has o'erbrinned their clammy cells.
That's all right. Use the damn camera.
What's the other remedy?
Oh, too awful to think about. As a child, I dreamed of going right round the world. Bound to get seasick, of course.
Mr. Morgan of the Brass Loud Halo wants to take a photograph of both of us with the cast.
Oh, I take so horribly. We'll look absurd as usual, especially surrounded by actors. I'll be the miserable rat-like person in the front. Though I don't care a hang what people think. I always consider photos of myself very calmly, as I would a stranger's photo. Even that name always seems to belong to someone else. Living in her house, using her things, and that's the worst of it, really. Stealing her name. Not her youth or happiness, of course.
Emma was not young, nor was she happy.
Oh, but I was young, wasn't I? All abloom. Beautiful, you called me. Glancing at me with such yearning when she wasn't looking.
Ask the new fellow to screw the hook back in. We must get it back up on the wall.
I know I do not approach anything even resembling good looks these days, and anyway, I don't think I ever did. I feel so very vague sometimes. My head spins. Well, at least I've got you to behave decently. Added to your comfort and happiness, a touch of refinement, taken care of you, if nothing else in my life.
Come to Maiden Castle, Florrie.
Oh, personally, I simply love writing. Very poor, though the result may be.
I'd take him along, but...
I do quite simply love it.
Is that this other remedy, my dear? You're writing?
Someone saw a child on a boat sailing from New Zealand to Australia. The child was reading one of my books. Cousin Christie, apparently. Anyway, just as well my literary career's been put a stop to. Would have been valueless, no doubt.
No one put a stop to anything.
The most drastic remedy mine is. Very egotistical.
Florrie, don't you dare.
Oh, I couldn't screw up the courage to kill myself. And especially not with a razor like your friend at Cambridge. Far too messy. No, I just long for it to be sometimes, but not all the time. This house to be set alight and burn down to nothing. Starting with the attics, of course, burned right down, right to the ground, from the attics right to the ground, and everything in it. Without anyone being injured, naturally. Shall you need anything before you go out?
Everything one does, one believes what is doing for the last time at my age. Like the walk to High Stoy last week. And then it turns out not to be. I won't go to Maiden Castle without you, Florence.
Of course you will.
I won't. My eyes are very weak today. I need an arm over the rough ground.
Plenty of smiling actresses' arms, I'm sure. Do you know, my child, I once held the arm of the great Thomas Hardy.
It's nothing to ask. A trifle.
I don't feel well.
When do you feel well?
My fault, I suppose. 6 teeth out.
A squirrel.
Which colour?
Grey.
There, I told you so. They'll overrun us. I haven't seen a sweet little red one for days.
Big rosebush is looking very fine.
I've put a great deal of care into the roses over the years.
She would have liked to have seen her roses. Standing up to a drought like that. Very good with flowers, she was. Very good. The birds came to her. She listened to the birds. At once a voice outburst among the bleak twigs overhead, and a full-hearted evensong of joy illimited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt and small, in blast-beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. You did not know her as she once was. Thick coils of corn-coloured hair. See, here. Everyone remembers that who saw it. The colour of ripe nuts. Corn ready to cut. Great thick coils of it. Look, here, have you seen?
That photo has been there since 1912. I dust under it myself.
Standing on the cliff tops. Galloping right to the edge. Dream and mystery. Wildness.
It's not just the servants, Tom. Look. Dust. On the windowsill. You see? Everything lying up there. Covered in it. In dust. Filtering down and down. No wonder my throat's... From the attics. The dust gets down into the bedrooms and then into here. Through the floorboards. Look at my
The
fingers.
servants don't clean properly.
Nobody's allowed to clean the attic.
No.
The smell. I meant to bring it up. Not just musty. Anything would smell after 10 years.
8 years and 7 months.
Not moving, not ever cleaned. Mice, cats, really horrid smells. Especially the clothes, corsets. All our old corsets. Moths breeding. Very lively, I should think, the moths. Shoes, too. All those picturesque hats of hers. Skirts. Combs full of hair. Nothing moving.
Who gave you the key to her room?
Not even packed up. Just lying about like some horrible massacre. I counted 15 cardboard boxes, Tom. 15 up in the attics. Nothing but paper. Not blank paper,
Who
unfortunately.
gave you the key?
No one.
It was in my desk.
Not blank at all, no, far from it.
Painkiller. That's all her writing was.
Pain giver, in certain cases.
Well, you burnt those.
We burnt them.
You insisted.
Very corn-coloured, her hair. I can see that quite clearly.
It damn well was.
If you say so.
I do.
You do. So many times. So many times.
Well, her hair was lovely.
So why didn't you make a wig of it then? For later, when I knew her. For when I was her best friend.
Friend?
Yes.
For when she employed you.
Did you ever brush it?
What?
Brush it, her hair, did you?
Well, I might have done.
No, I'm sure you didn't. You don't like touching anyone, do you? You don't like touching at all. Well, I did. I brushed it many times. She asked me to. And the queer thing is, it was scarcely worth brushing. It was all wisps. It was all wispy and white and dirty, too. Came out in the comb. I had to wash the comb every time.
What are you doing?
Turning her to the wall.
What, as if she's died?
She died 10 years ago.
8 years and 7 months.
You were afraid the glass might break. Our half-wit servants are bound to kick it.
I did not believe in time at all. Emma trusted you.
She certainly trusted me enough to ask for my opinions. Well, whether, for instance, I had noticed how extremely like Crippen you were.
Crippen?
A little thin, beady-eyed man, wasn't he? Dr. Crippen. She wanted my opinion. Took me by the elbow into a shady nook in the garden.
When?
I don't invent these days. I'm no good at inventing.
Dr. Crippen? Good gracious. Well, I had the same moustaches. You cannot take a joke. You were very young.
Oh, my sense of humour was very good. Certainly, I laughed at... Well, our ménage here really appeared to me very comic, as a matter of fact. Anyway, she was not trying to be funny, not at all. Maybe she said my own body might be found buried in the Max Gate cellar. Don't you think that's possible, Florence, dear? Frightening. I left, rather hastily. After all, she might have begun to ask me other questions.
Such as what?
Or whether I didn't think that I resemble Miss Leneve, for instance.
Who?
The typist. The silly young thing Crippen ran away with. after he'd chopped up his dutiful wife.
Oh, yes. We were all so glad to see him executed, weren't we? Strange little man. Good gracious. Crippen. Nearly time. No one must know these things.
Why should they?
They might. Most of me is out there. A mere scrap left in here. I don't want people to know. Dolly Gale brushed her hair.
Oh, Dolly arrived at least a year after I came on the scene.
Not once did I brush her hair. Here, look. There's a drop of oil on the hinges. Tiny hinges, antique. Here. Look.
What's this? Oh, what do I want with this? Oh, you carry this about with you, do you? Next to your heart? Your love token? Your silver locket of endearing love?
Should I not?
And me? What do you carry of me?
I see you every day. You're not dead.
Humdrum.
No.
But a curl of hair in a silver locket is very much the stuff of poetry, of course. Dear Keats taught me that. Living people are such humdrum, ugly things. Even my bridal dress and hat were atrociously ugly.
Well, that's not what the paper said.
The papers. Even you, humdrum now, to me.
Look. See the colour it has? See? Ripe nuts. Corn ready to cut. And there's the proof. All that's left of it, a little snippet. You see? Flying in the air behind her it was. On the cliff tops. Right out behind her. Like a rainy sunset. The sun streaming its yellow rays, just like her hair, through the wet atmosphere. Wet ironwork and Cornish slates shining.
I never thought to when he died. The only person who ever loved me, and I'm not very lovable, never thought to cut a lock of his hair. That was only like my hair, ordinary, rather plain, rather flat. Oh, we did dream together. Wandered together through the groves of Parnassus. All over Enfield we wandered, he in his Tennyson coat and romantic hat. He did cut off a lock of my hair, put it to his lips. Sick and weak. He had a terrible stammer and smelt of fish. Well, he would, being a fishmonger's son. I smelt of classrooms and mucky urchins. Poor Alfred. Oh, and that little crowded house full of his sisters. Very cramped and gassy. But he dressed like a poet, did Alfred Hyatt. Dreamed and dreamed, he did. He worked so hard. Writing was all Alfred's life. We dreamed of it together. A life of beauty and writing. And I am very content with my picture of him because it is the truth. Perhaps my lock of hair's buried with him. I did so hunger for beauty and elegance. Enfield was really so terribly suburban. He never had good health. That was the trouble. And no money. No prospects. I'd gladly have died for him. More to me than anything else in the world. Give up my life now to have 1/2 hour with him again. Tom? 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 Thought you were popped off, Tom. Popped off for good.
Are you sure? What?
What? lots and lots of them on the lawn, suddenly.
There's a crowd scene. Casterbridge.
You hate crowds.
Play the hostess.
I have to write your letters, Thomas Hardy.
I like playing the hostess. I was not asleep. Your eyes are red.
How are you to take your nap?
I just took it.
No cover in Maiden Castle, it's just grass, it's bare. What an idea to go there. You'll get excited.
I like getting excited.
Not good for you when you're not fresh.
Much worse you going on and on about the attics.
Really? Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry to be such a nuisance. Let's leave it all for the crowds to dig out when we've suddenly popped off.
Nothing to dig out. I've looked.
Oh, so the creaks above my head were only my husband. What a relief. Oh, my God. In the conservatory, too.
Oh, goodness gracious. What youth, my dear. Just rehearsing. A scene between Farfrey and Elizabeth Jane on the Budmouth Road. That's what it is. When they kiss and Henchard is watching. You know it? Well, surely you know it. It's in the script here. Somewhere.
They seem to be acting very real in my hothouse. I ought to chase them off. That time, do you remember?
What?
That first time. When it was all in secret. All yearningly. When I relieved you.
Oh, good gracious woman.
And afterwards, we sat on the beach on a slippery old beam and looked out at the sea. I felt very strong. I didn't feel ashamed at all. Just very strong and silvery. All silvery. Thomas Hardy. I did dream of meeting him one day. Reading his books as a girl. Well, I did feel sorry for him. So sad he seemed. And gloomy and tragic. A great blasted tree, all alone. And you had on that lovely woolen waistcoat.
Well, the east wind got right down you.
And she, who was more than my life to me, had vanished quite.
Naught happens twice thus.
No. They've gone, the lovers. After you were passed on, I will empty out her attic boudoirs and burn the whole lot in a great heap on the lawn. Even her old corsets, especially the corsets. The gardener will help me, the new one if he's still about. Huge bonfire we'll have, and I will dance around the flames like a savage. And I'll put your clothes on the fire too, all except the woolen waistcoat. Your caught-in waistcoat.
The smoke, it'll ruin your throat.
I won't care.
You don't like dancing.
I'll like it then.
Will nothing be left?
Do you ever wonder where or why you were drifting? You'd never think they're making a film.
They started a door.
They woke me up.
There's nothing wrong with dancing.
I've spent literally thousands of evenings on my own. So very quiet, and then there's a burst, and my head spins, and then quiet again. If we were to go away somewhere, even for a fortnight.
Lady Barrett, she has remedies.
Lady Barrett?
Make an appointment. It's the age, you know. Women, it happens. At a certain age, it's inevitable. It's nature. Drags you down, right down, as inevitable as fog drops on a barn gate. Summer harvest, smell of sheaves, the voices of the women.
Fog drops? Well, at least I've got you to behave decently, added to your comfort and happiness. Anyway, it won't happen. Not even Brighton. Haven't been away from this place in 7 years. Not for more than one clear week.
Well, a week is something.
For my operation!
They're young, happy, jigging about. Look, dancing.
There's no one in the world who cares whether I'm happy or not.
I may care, Florrie.
Oh, that's only for yourself. You being so lost if I go away. You've not cared since she. Your sole care has been her. Poem after poem after wretched poem.
Goodness gracious, I do care. Oh, Darren, this is too much. It's too much noise. I mean, why do people always take such liberties? And clever London talk. I mean, people in London, they all seem so very clever when first one.
Want them to go tiptoeing about, do you, with all their equipment?
No, but I don't
Talking
appreciate
in whispers, all those beautiful young people and their jazz music, like in a church, I suppose. All of us tiptoeing about, with you as the holy relic, our greatest what? Oh, the newspapers. I want to keep bees and hens.
Not hens, Florence. You'll be talking about...
Lots of noisy hens, as many as I wish. I like them. 104 hens, 500 hens at once, in alphabetical order. Thousands and thousands and thousands of noisy, chattering hens.
Oh, good gracious. I mean, there's too much. I'll ring for this.
Leave them. They're only enjoying themselves. Let them rip everything up. Let them come into the house and smash everything up. And all the geraniums. I don't care. It'll do us all a lot of good.
No, we must not be seen. They must not see us.
Don't speak roughly to me, Tom.
Florrie.
It seems I am an utter failure.
No. They have Casterbridge, life size, set up in a great type of warehouse, you know? Outside London somewhere. Great type of warehouse they call a studio. Streets, so they tell me. Whole streets. They're more real. Do you know what one of them said? One of the actors, you know what she said? Casterbridge is more Dorchester than Dorchester now.
Oh, look at me. It'll be in all the worst papers. Look at my eyes. And my nose. All shiny.
And that's when I told him that Casterbridge, it's a dream place. Always was. Oh, the real human Dorchester, that's in the graveyard beyond the railway line, see? Under the turf.
Miserable, rat-like creature.
Oh, use my handkerchief. There. It's clean. I see you've been crying. Your eyes being so large. Well, maybe you should not come after all. No, you... Stay at home, Florrie, you. Have the letters to type.
The car is an open one.
What?
The film company's car.
I believe so.
Then I'll go and get our capes. It blows a great deal in an open car, even in this heat.
You're coming?
I find open cars an exhilaration.
But your eyes.
Yes?
Well, being so large, they'll see. They'll certainly see that...
And luminous. So large. And luminous. That's what you said once. And it used to be more than my eyes. My hair, for instance. You did stroke it then. Very soft, you said. Very fine. Like silk.
Very thin. Very fine.
Oh, not thick, like...
Different. That's all.
Different.
Florrie, they'll see that you're not... Well, that we're not altogether...
I'll fetch our cakes. Motion, of course, does you more good than anything. Though I do wish it were not so frightfully expensive, motoring. Come along, or they'll think us impolite. We must not be seen as impolite. They're all out there, Tom. Waiting. For us.
In Nought Happens Twice Thus by Adam Thorpe, Thomas Hardy was played by Patrick Malahide and Florence by Sylvestra de Touzel. The actors in the garden were played by Emma Williams and Scott's Brooksbank. The play was directed by Patrick Rayner.